Redeemed of the Lord say so. We're working on some mono black commander, this one being obviously Sephiroth. So we're going to give two quick shouts. The first one is to MTG Josh. They are the one whose deck list this is. Like I said in last week's stream, I haven't had a ton of time to work on Magic related stuff because of work and life. I'm a huge fan of Sephiroth. This is probably, much like Cloud, is a card that I'm 100% going to build as a commander deck someday. This card just has a very unique design, especially being mono black. I didn't know if there'd be enough like drain effects and whatever else, but it does seem just from this deck alone that there's quite a bit. And BCM Raider, if you like commander content, he does a lot of deck techs and cards of the day stuff, so, and he's a supporter of the channel, so go ahead and check him out as well. So Sephiroth is I guess in some ways similar to Yawgmoth as a commander. You're trying to build a deck based around draining your opponent out. Yeah, Secret Air, I kind of moved away from modern stuff on the channel. The only modern stuff I really do is the MTG Nexus Red channel. Couple reasons for that is I've had less and less time for keeping up with competitive Magic, and over the years I've just come to like it less and less. I don't have the time or the resources to keep up with it. So modern, I tend to stick to just the red decks on that Nexus Red channel, and I've become more and more of a casual MTG player rather than competitive. So I still do modern and still do Pioneer on the MTG Nexus Red and Pioneer channels, but mainly I do Brawl and Brawl, Pioneer, and red decks for modern. Just really don't like trying to keep up with the huge card pools for the constructed formats, and I'm interested in the casual stuff now. So, but Sephiroth obviously is a aristocrat style commander. You could also run Yawgmoth in these style decks. Basically, you're just trying to gain a bunch of resources from sacrificing things. You're making things that make extra bodies, draw cards, gain value off of things that die, recurring things like Bloodghast, and then you just have, it's basically an attrition style deck that just like trying to drain the opponent out. And then, things like Grave Pact. Basically, you're trying to get incremental advantage and drain your opponent out. Not unlike a Yawgmoth deck. You're trying to interact with your opponent in the early turns, build a board, then drain your opponent out. I could go card by card, but mainly that's what you're going to be looking at. It's going to be into those. And then obviously you're going to have some tutors, some ways to find things, draw cards, etc. So, kind of enjoyed this deck in the practice games I've played. So, but yeah, as far as Magic overall, the more, especially over the last 2 years, the more I've played competitive MTG, especially on Magic Online, I've just enjoyed it less and less, whereas the Yuffie, it's a ninjutsu deck. Okay, I wouldn't mind a little bit of interaction here. I've just enjoyed the more casual stuff, so. Ninjutsu cost. I'm going to get hit by a Yuffie, so there ain't much we can do about that. Wash Away is annoying. Hydra Specimen. Yeah, just take the Wash Away. But yeah, and I figure, considering that I usually don't mind playing don't mind playing the red decks in Modern. I'm more willing to play those and just kind of continue to stay up to the Modern format. And if I ever want to switch back to playing more Modern, obviously I have the option. But for now, I'm more moving towards Brawl style content. Okay. So, I guess maybe I should have done that main phase. Oh, that's dumb. They can just ninjutsu. This is so dumb. Okay. Like, I still like Magic. I still like playing it, but I don't like trying to keep up with competitive formats anymore. Like, I used to love watching streamers and stuff, but I just find myself shuffling more and more away from the competitive scene and more into just the casual stuff. Even in person, I play far more Commander than I do competitive Magic anymore. Okay. Honestly surprised my opponent didn't just So how have you been, Seeker? It's been a while since I've seen you in chat. I see your comments every once in a while, but haven't seen your seen you in chat as much. Granted, I only stream really on Sundays anymore, so I think we're just dead. So I'm going to go ahead and concede this game. We were up against an attrition strategy. I didn't keep up with my opponent's stuff and removed the wrong creature. So, first time I've played against Yuffie since FF came out, so granted I've only probably played maybe 15 or 20 Brawl matches since Final Fantasy came out. Huge fan of the set. There's a lot of awesome characters. Hi, dear. Alright, we'll keep this hand. This hand has Jet Medallion to make our spells cheaper, etc. So it's possible our opponent has interaction here. Choose not to sacrifice anything at the moment. I guess no, for each opponent opponent concedes. I guess they got stuck on lands. So far I basically had 2 non-games for things. share the deck list. That way if people coming in later can see it. It's again, so cloud deck. All right, interesting. Two, four. Take a hit for 3. Deal with that. Probably gets another energy to life. Guess we'll play out Sephiroth. Forces them to either have a removal spell or they basically don't get to attack. You missed the wabbits. Seriously, Sir Goblin. It's possible they have like Fatal Push or something. So I think if I Liliana here, tick it up, get rid of oppression, because I think it's more likely going to hurt us than our opponent right now. Does not have first strike. Okay, let's see what our opponent does. It's nothing. Concede. It's the Wabbits, it's the Wabbits. Kuja versus Sephiroth. Instead of create a 1/1 wizard. It seems alright, especially if we find a baby shark. Gee, thanks. Yep. Kept this hand. Maybe we shouldn't have, because Kuja is just dangerous enough. Black Mage's Rod. Looks like our opponent just kept up removal spells. Draw a card, create a treasure. So yes, our opponent does have a removal spell of some kind. Okay. Have to take the 3, whether we'll like it or not. Taking 6 off of Kuja. We do have the outside shot of somehow our opponent can't kill us this turn, and then we can... Yeah, never mind. Probably should have mulliganed toward a more interactive hand. One of these decks is they tend to be attrition-y active hands. So you need to like keep in mind like what is your role in a particular matchup. Like against a combo deck, you're the aggressive deck. Against an aggressive deck, you're the control deck. Against a control deck, you're kind of the aggressive deck. And understanding like what is your opponent's strategy as most as possible. Like Kuja, it's pretty clearly they're trying to create multiple of the mages and then kind of combo off from there. Now to Fairy, obviously we're up against a control deck, so we're going to be wanting something that's a little bit more aggressive than this hand. This hand really does nothing until Liliana, so I think we got a mulligan this one. This hand... Winter Moon might not do much, but it could be alright. Depending on how many non-basics they keep. So lead on Thoughtseize, Brainstorm, Fragment Reality. We take the Dovins. No, which one do we take? Target non-artifact, non-token artifact. Oh dear. Good, we play Winter Moon. I mean, they can Brainstorm here, which is fine. Good on Sephiroth. What? A card that I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. So what do they have? Spell Pierce. It's clearly a very difficult choice. Those swamps are very pristine, but clearly Duress is the superior choice here. But I do think we just unfortunately likely lose. A very weird choice of okay. And goodbye to our opponent. Not too often you blow up your own creatures to kill your opponent, but, you know, gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah, this hand seems fun. Guess it's a Zakama deck, so some type of ramp. It's possible I should have mulliganed to a more controlling hand, but okay, looks like they're a more I'm not sure why you're laughing, but eh. Okay, do that. Because I can. Wow. Something inherently wrong with y'all. Assume we just lose to our opponent, getting a bunch of Praetors here. Yuck, 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 yuck. Alright, let's move on. Balding Shark. Wow. Oh, put a +1 you power. You control dies during return, draw cards equal to its power. I think this hand's just too slow. Blossom. All right. Taste the rainbow. Huh? Alright, I'm going to Progenitus. So one thing I'm noticing with this build is I really feel like you want more of the earlier one drops that recur, and then the deck can be a little bit more aggressive, especially in matchups where your opponent's just kind of trying to go big and go home. Liliana. I can't hear whatever you're saying. Well, at least the third one left you a home.
Chase the rainbow.
Sadly, that's what I figured you meant.
But you're the one that didn't understand it.
Yeah. Guess I'm digging for a land. Opponent's going to get one turn with an absurd amount of mana. And it's quite possible they have an answer to... No, Mirari's Wake's just annoying overall. Oh, for crying out loud. No, Dale's first two ex-wives could be best described as wave after wave. Yeah, we're not beating that. Yeah, I like this deck against kind of same level opponents in terms of like other mid-range and aggro decks, but I think it's a little too mid-range for things like Progenitus and such. I have not seen this Kuja. Oh, it is... Remember another on-token wizard you control enters Kujas in the command zone. Do create a token that's a copy. Alrighty then. Dreadhorde Arcanist. So their opponent not tapping out this turn, I'm just going to go ahead and play Mana Rock, and if they want to counter it, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. Yep, the more I see this card, the more it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Not sure what the point of this card is. I guess it's to get each player hellbent, but play this out. It's pretty close to flipping. Mm-hmm. So x equals 5. Flip it, or they could flip it if they put the top card of their library in their graveyard this turn. Okay. Probably want to draw Thoughtseize, honestly. I get to flip as Kanto. Okay. Okay. Surprised they didn't even activate Escanta there. Opponent spontaneously combusted. We'll play one more here. It's another Yuffie deck. We'll try this one. Let that attack. Cast Familiar. Mm-hmm. Going to attack first. Gets to ninja in Yuffie here. I'm curious why they wouldn't play a looks like they have a spell pierce or something. Yep, Flusterstorm, even more annoying. So if I would have played Liliana, we would have been able to deal with this. Okay, Kramox. Pitching Cyclonic Rift. Okay. All right. What's the best option here? Okay, I'll take it up. No reason to cast Insatiable Avarice. It's a weird decision. Okay, draw a card. Not playing into Ristic Study. Sure. Swamp. End the turn. Sacrifice the cat. Opponent gets to take an extra turn, but they're not really going to accomplish much with it. Study is just more annoying at this stage of the game than anything. Oh. Why do you always forget this is a sorcery? Cat came back. I thought it was gone, but the cat came back. I'm not choosing to go out in the drain of glory here. So I think a lot like the Yawgmoth deck. This deck is very good at the slow grindy games, but is very in ones with decks that don't go way over the top, like Progenitus. But it's a little bit weaker in situations where your opponent is either a fast or has a synergy and combo to it, or decks that go over the way at the top, like any type of Progenitus or Zakama. I think the only way really to fix that would be to lower the curve a little bit. There's a bunch of 1-mana recursive creatures. I'm not sure how many of them are actually on Arena, but that, and I know some of them with War and Soul Trader become an infinite combo, as my brother found out. But basically, Sephiroth is a good balanced card. You could even have like a Yawgmoth in this deck and play with a lot of what else is going on. So I think there's like some room to tweak what this deck is trying to do without giving up on what the deck's doing in terms of like the draining, the gaining life, etc. There were some cards we didn't really get a chance to really leverage. Collector's Vault. We did see it like once. Winter Moon was okay in some spots, but it felt like a lot of threes, a lot of drawing some of the 4s and 5 drops in this deck. I feel like we need like a few more 1 drops to have a little bit more of an aggressive stance in certain matchups. Leverage some removal spells a little bit better. I think the deck is very good, like I said, in kind of the mid-range and control battles, or maybe even against the aggressive decks. I think it just struggles a little bit against the kind of go over the top and combo decks. So, as always, I want to thank everybody for hanging out. My brother, my lovely wife, Secret Nair when he was on. I know a lot of people are still disappointed that we moved away from modern content on the channel. As a reminder, if you do like the modern content, We are still doing some modern stuff over at MTG Nexus Red, mainly the burn and prowess stuff. This channel is now exclusively a Brawl/Commander channel. Mainly Brawl, obviously, as we focus on online content, and Commander content's a little bit more difficult to create in an online environment. But yeah, we're working through some of the Final Fantasy stuff. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more time to sit down and look at some of the content people like MT Josh are putting out, Legend VD, Amy the Amazon, CGB, etc. in terms of, you know, some of the new commanders and legends from Final Fantasy. But unironically, we've touched on 2 of the 3 that I would really like to build around in paper, that being Sephiroth, this version of Sephiroth, and the Naya version of Cloud. The other one is Ultima, but that's going to require a lot of wild cards I probably don't have right now for the all the powerful colorless stuff. So, as always, I want to thank everybody for hanging out, and hope to see you for next Sunday's stream. And also want to say a shout out to my oldest stepson's birthday today. Not sure if he watches that. I highly doubt it. But that said, hope everybody has a great day. Hope that everybody's beginning of the summer here in the northern hemisphere is great. And if you, for some reason, are watching the southern hemisphere, hopefully your winter isn't too brutal on you. And catch everybody later. See ya.